Before we start, I would like you to hit that red subscribe button so that you never miss out on any of our videos. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Insane Worlds. 5. Bodies are often placed inside walls. Bodies are even inside the walls of the cemeteries in New Orleans. As space became more limited, it became a cheaper and space-efficient way to prevent corpses from flowing away. Often, these types of tombs were used during the heaviest years of the various yellow fever epidemics. They were also used as rental tombs. If two family members died within the same traditional year and a day period, which was common during a yellow fever epidemic, the second to die would be placed inside a wall vault. The year and a day period would occur, and the body would then be reinterred into the lower vault of the family tomb. Many of these wall vaults are reused by families and can sometimes hold up to 10 people each inside of them. Number 4. Above ground tombs originate from Roman times. Wall vaults were loosely based on Roman burial sites known as columbariums, while these were generally used to hold the actual cremated remains of Romans rather than acting as full-on burial vaults as they do in New Orleans. They have a similar structure. Columbariums were built fallow ground in chambers carved out of tufa rock. Beautifully designed, they were meant to hold thousands of human remains and lifted to the ceilings of these Roman burial chambers. The wall vaults in New Orleans lay above ground and are not as ornate as their Roman counterparts, but are nevertheless a unique feat of human ingenuity. Number 3. Society tombs took care of people in life and death. Some minority groups within a larger society did not have the means to afford their own tombs. Eventually, organizations would form called benevolent societies. These groups provided medical services, community events, and a final resting place in the afterlife. The first was formed by groups of newly freed African peoples in 1783 and named the Perseverance and Mutual Aid Association. They were later commonly organized by groups of immigrants, religious orders, and the less affluent French and Spanish of the city. Once common around the Western world, they are still active and alive in New Orleans. The Italian Benevolent Society located in St. Louis Cemetery No. 1 is one of the most stunning and well-known. It was used without the consent of the Archdiocese in the filming of the 1969 hippie cult classic Easy Rider. This would be the last Hollywood film to be shot in the cemetery and only one of two to have ever used the historic cemetery as a backdrop. The 1965 film Cincinnati Kid came first. The scene in question is a surreal mishmash of sexual promiscuity, backdropped by the classical tombs of St. Louis, all short guerrilla style. Peter Fonda, the producer and star of the film, ends up in the arms of the statue lining the front facade of the Italian Benevolent Society tomb, demanding of it, "Why did you leave me? And how could you do this to me?" while bawling uncontrollably. It turns out he and his co-stars had taken LSD before filming the scene. Soon after the film was released, the Archdiocese passed a law banning and filming except for educational or religious purposes. Today, tourists are not allowed to take videos inside St. Louis Cemetery No. 1. Number 2. The tombs are cleaned and maintained by families. In the early days of the Catholic Church, saints were traditionally honored on their own day, but with the growing number of saints, this soon became a problem. In the 7th century, Pope Boniface IV officially established All Saints' Day in order to honor all the saints at one time. History records an earlier sacred day before Boniface's time, but it wasn't widely observed. Originally, Christians observed All Saints' Day on May 13th, but in the 8th century, Pope Gregory III moved it to November 1. The first All Saints' Day in New Orleans occurred in 1972 as the old St. Peter's Cemetery was celebrating a rededication. Today, family members come to their tombs to clean them and leave gifts for their deceased ancestors. These gifts include flowers, photographs, foodstuff, and even alcohol. The holiday is practiced in most Catholic countries but is not seen in such brilliance anywhere around the United States as it is in New Orleans. Number 1. Funeral procession include a musical element. Second line, sometimes referred to as jazz funerals, are a cultural phenomenon originating in New Orleans and found nowhere else in the United States. One of the many services provided to members of the aforementioned benevolent societies was a funeral procession, with a somber musical procession following behind. In 1875, the Société d'Économie at the Assistance Mutuelle, a black benevolent society, held a meeting and deemed the official music to be brass band music. After the initial dirge, it became common for bands to play happy, fun, and upbeat music, and by 1883, these processions were being used for the society's annual parade. Today, these parades are used for both funeral processions and general celebrations across the city. Much of the New Orleans music, dress, and parade culture originated from these early processions. They are a common occurrence in everyday life in the Crescent City. Death and life are closely connected in New Orleans. Their dead incomparably revered and celebrated, forever from ashes to ashes and dust to dust. This brings us to the end of our video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit like if you did, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss any of our videos in the future. Also, watch the 2 videos that are on your screen because I'm sure you love them. With that, I'll see you in the next video.